How do you develop a body paragraph for an informational essay with relevant and sufficient ideas? In this lesson, you will learn how to develop a body paragraph by choosing a relevant and sufficient quotation and analysis. First, let's review the prompt. As we continue to respond to this prompt, we know that we need to develop a counterclaim that is fair and thorough. Let's review the writing process. We know that the first step in writing is to show your comprehension of a text by always doing multiple close reading and analysis of that text. The second step is to read the assignment or prompt and figure out what it is asking you to write about. Remember, in our case, we are writing an argumentative essay following the reverse definition format. The third step in the writing process is to generate ideas for what we want to say about the text and to make a plan for how we are going to write it. Step 4 in the writing process is drafting how we want our writing to go and revising the writing to make it the best it can be. In this lesson, we will be reviewing the evidence we have gathered and draft a counterclaim and claim paragraph, ensuring we have included relevant and sufficient evidence. Step 5 is to edit and publish our work. We want to ensure our writing is appropriate to the audience's knowledge. Thus, you should ask yourself, who is my intended audience? As well as, what do they already understand about the topic? You want to keep the audience's knowledge of the topic in mind, so you are sure to explain concepts your audience does not understand and to avoid explaining concepts your audience already understands. Understanding your audience is one way to ensure that your ideas are relevant. Here are your 4 steps to this lesson. We will review our 3-column chart. Select relevant and sufficient ideas that best fit the paragraph's main idea. Draft your ideas into a paragraph while keeping the audience in mind. It is important to review your notes before moving on to the next step, in case you can think of something else to add, and while you read, you can also be considering which ideas are your strongest. In the first column of my 3-column notes, I pulled out a quote I disagreed with. I ensured to place quotation marks and page numbers to make sure that I did not plagiarize. In the second column, I practiced responding to this quote with both disagree stems. As my first quote dealt with health risks, I wanted to ensure that the final section of my template addressed this topic as well as supporting my claim. As I push towards drafting my paragraph, I will choose the one that best matches my personal writing style. In the final column, I went back to the article that I agreed with. Because my overarching topic here is health risk of EC, I was able to narrow down the search. In this quote, the fact that unplanned pregnancies led to an increased risk of depression proved the health risks. For this counterclaim paragraph, my disagree statement will be my main idea statement. I have moved it over from my 3-column notes. As this paragraph focuses on the disagree or counterclaim, I will also pull out the quote I disagreed with. I must be sure to keep the quotation mark and page number citation to avoid plagiarism. Within the final section of this paragraph, I must prove I can empathize with the perspective I disagree with. I can do this by clearly summarizing the perspective stated within my chosen quote. As I write this summary, I must ensure I am accurately portraying this author's perspective, not using the words they have stated within the direct quote I place within this paragraph, and stay in formal diction. I will also be sure to avoid the word I, as this paragraph is not representing my perspectives. Now all that's left is to put all the pieces together. I have to be sure to hit the tab button at the beginning of this paragraph to ensure that it looks like a paragraph. First, I place my main idea statement. Remember, for this paragraph, it will be my disagree statement from the previous section. Next, I place my evidence, complete with quotation marks and citation. In order to make the quote a complete sentence within my paragraph, I have added the words Crouse claims. Finally, I place my summary of this section. This rounds out a clear and concise paragraph. To combat this claim, it is now time for me to develop my claim. Once again, I will preview my stem that corresponds with the purpose of this paragraph. I see that stem is a tag statement with evidence included. So first I review the quotation that I have selected to agree with. I remember that health risks of EC have become the focus of these two paragraphs, and signs of depression is the portion of this quotation that directly responds to that topic. Thus, I can cut out the remainder of the quote. Now, I can turn to the template and put together my main idea statement by beginning with the correct tag for the statement and following with a shortened direct quote. Now, as I push towards finalizing this paragraph, I can place my main idea statement at the top. I've once again used the tab button to make this look like a paragraph. As I compose this link, I have to ensure the final section of this paragraph explains how my chosen quote contradicts the claim I disagree with. This is my chance to explain what I want to say. I also have to ensure that I am maintaining my thesis statement and staying true to the overall thesis. Women of childbearing age should be able to choose their own form of contraceptive. Notice, within this final section, I stay in formal diction and accurately link my direct quote to my overall claim. I conclude this paragraph by directly combating the paragraph prior. Please feel free to pause the video at this point and rewind to review the paragraph prior. Pay close attention to how both paragraphs directly contradict each other. Here are the 4 steps of this lesson. First, we reviewed our 3-column chart. Then we selected relevant and sufficient ideas that best fit the paragraph's main idea. Finally, we drafted our ideas into a paragraph while keeping the audience in mind. In the next step, we will push to include all of our paragraphs within our rough draft and allow peers to provide feedback for our final draft. This feedback will allow us to move towards our final step of publication. In this lesson, you have learned how to develop a body paragraph by choosing relevant and sufficient quotations and analysis.